morning, everyone. Welcome to Genesis Center for Spiritual Living. Let's all stand and sing our opening song.
I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of joy right now, singing. I'm choosing joy today. I choose abundance today. I choose abundance today. I am walking the road of abundance right now, singing. I choose abundance today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of love right now, singing. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing heaven today.
How is everyone doing today? Try again. How's everyone doing today? Let's want some excitement in here. We're having a good time. I'm so glad you're here to chose to spend a day with the morning with us. The purpose of Genesis is to be a sanctuary for the soul grounded in universal truth. I love that. My name is Dave. I am a practitioner and a ministerial student in training here, and I will be your MC host, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to be the guy up on stage today, at least for part of it. And then I'll have to give the mic over to Reverend James, for the message, but that's all right, too. So let's all get together and read our mission and vision statement. Our vision. Genesis empowers everyone to express their authentic nature as unconditional love. And our mission. Genesis is an inclusive spiritual community that honors vulnerability, educates, celebrates, serves, and inspires our members, our community, and our world. Oh, I love that. And so now we'll go on to our announcements for the end of summer and fall. I like that. So, Healers and Hunters Men's Group will meet tomorrow, and you can reach out to me or Jim Monston if you're interested in joining. And I always love, since I get the mic right before the day, to give a little teaser onto what we're doing tomorrow. We will be talking about that little fun object, the Mobius strip. Everyone all knows what the Mobius strip is? Y'all heard of that? Well, then you need to come tomorrow and then find out what it's all about, okay? Anyways, it's a fun little object, and it talks about the interconnectedness and how we show up in our spiritual worlds and how we show up in our lives. And so we'll be discussing that. It will be a fantastic time. So next, if you're loving what you're learning here on Sunday morning and ready for the next steps, you're ready for CSL classes. The best place to start is with a foundations class. And we're offering one this fall called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. You'll learn the core principles and spiritual practices used most often in CSL to expand your understanding of how it works and how you can use it powerfully. Our practitioner, musician, ChristineEss Young, will be facilitating on Zoom, sharing details and offering clarity to help you hone and perfect your practice. If you are new to CSL or seasoned or sharpening your skills, this class will be a powerful opportunity. These 3-hour classes meet on Tuesday evenings or Wednesday afternoons. Register now or at GenesisCSL.org, as all her classes, tend to fill up very, very, very quickly. Of course they do. She's magnificent. Looking into deeper your spiritual practice with an in-person class on Sunday afternoon. Join Reverend James this fall for Treatment and Meditation, a 10-week experiential class that explores two of the most powerful practices in the Centers for Spiritual Living tradition. You'll develop practical tools for spiritual mind treatment and meditation that can bring greater peace, clarity, and joy into your daily life while learning from guest practitioners who will share their own experiences and insights. This class meets Sunday from September 13th through November 15th from 1 to 3 p.m. at Genesis right here, Center for Spiritual Living. Tuition is $320 or $290 if you're register early by September 3rd. Sign up today and make this a fall season of deepening your spiritual practice. Time to clean out your closets. Genesis is offering a used clothing every Sunday in September from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. We will have a container behind the building for collecting clothing and shoes, and we will also accept hats and purses as well as bed, bath, and kitchen linens. So declutter your house and help Genesis raise some funds. And finally, Genesis will be at the Burien Farmers Market again on Thursday, September 17th from 2 to 6 p.m., and we'd love your help. 1 to 2 volunteers are needed for setup, takedown, and lunch breaks throughout the day. It's a wonderful opportunity to connect with our community, share the spirit of Genesis, and welcome new people into our spiritual home. If you can help for any part of that day, please let Gideon or Cynthia know. So those are our announcements for today. And so now we're going to go on to introducing our first-time guests. And so if you're here for your first time today, I'm so glad that you are here with us. We'd love to connect with you. We know everyone prefers a different method of communication, so you could fill out a connection card or drop it in the offering basket later in the service, or scan the QR code on the card. This will open a personal line of communication. We want to provide you important information to give you everything you need to learn about Genesis and what we do here. If you have any questions, please stop by the welcome table downstairs, and we'd love to chat and give you a free gift. Okay, now that we've welcomed our guests, we get to do one of my favorite part of the services. We get to meet and greet with each other. So we'll just stand up. We'll go be our hugging community, so we can hug each other, say hi to each other. If that doesn't work with you, namaste mans are perfectly acceptable, as well as handshakes. So let's get up and love and hug and greet each other. Yeah, I like that. That's great stuff. I just wanted to kind of groove and then like do a little jig to that while you're doing that music there. That's fun. All right. Well, today, now I'd like to thank our people in service today. For our setup and cleanup crew, we had Eric, Rose, Jim, Gideon, Cynthia, as well as myself. Our morning greeter today was Christy. On projector is Eric, and our online host is Eric. Our sound tech is back there is Jim. Our offering is, who's doing our offering today? Christy. Okay, cool, thank you. Down holding vigil for us today is the beautiful Reverend Rose, and our musician is the fantastic ChristineEss. Yes, Jim. Gideon on projector. Thank you for the clarification on that. I certainly want to give credit where credit is due. Appreciate that. And providing food for our fellowship today is One Life. So with that, we're going to go over, and now that we've done kind of the business portion of the service, now we're going to kind of move down from our heads down to our hearts, and we're going to be introduced to that by our beautiful song, Breathe and Turn Within, from ChristineEss Young.
I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I pray and turn within. I pray and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I pray and turn within. I pray and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's love.
So today's reading comes from the Science of Mind magazine, and it's from an article entitled The Fear of the Light. So Plato says this: we can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. Plato's words really made me think, where in my life am I afraid of the light? Especially right now. Light, meaning wisdom, is the all-knowing presence of the divine. Would any of us choose to fear something as wonderful and natural as our greatness? Do I consciously avoid the ability to be anything and anyone I can possibly dream of? Is living authentically and being a bearer of light and love in all areas of our world intimidating? Are we truly so uncomfortable with change that we would rather live in fear than shine in the fullness of our divinity? There's an acronym for fear: false evidence appearing real. Sometimes fear feels very real to me. How do we look past this false evidence? We choose to see things differently. We each know and claim that the power of God is our power. The strength of God is our strength. The wisdom of God is our wisdom. Choose to see past your fear and uncover the truth. Choosing to see the truth is a demand and a command of yourself. Challenging yourself to constantly question anything in your life that doesn't match universal law. Look for proof that universal law is real and keep doing this. Demand to see the truth repeatedly. Demand to see the truth repeatedly. That's how you get more light in your life. I'll say this affirmation and then we'll go into prayer. I am love, I am light. I am a loving beacon of truth and light for myself and others. I welcome the light. So let's pray. So we recognize that presence, the divine presence of infinite spirit, that loving life, the cause back of everything, the thing itself, the infinite truth, the oneness. It is that light and that life that we are all a part of. It's the absolute presence, filled with wonder and awe, certainty and uncertainty. It is the cause back of everything itself. And I know that I am a part of that. I know I'm a part of that light. I am a part of that wonder. I am a part of that law. I know that presence exists as me here right now on this very stage speaking to you. It's expressing to me as my God self, as my spiritual self. Everything that I say, everything that I do is a part of that. And as I recognize by myself, I recognize it with everyone here. We are all a part of that light. We are all a part of that oneness. We are all a part of that absolute greatness, is that beacon that shines within inside every single one of us, every single day. And I still recognize that there is a part of my human presence that still holds on to those limitations, sees those ideas behind myself that I'm not a part of that light, and sometimes I think that I'm comfortable with that, and that's an easy way to live in life. It's so easy just to sit back in my own comfort zone. And I don't want to say that life's not easy, but it actually is much easier to live in that light. It's much easier just to accept who I am and accept who we are and accept that presence of wonder and awe and that all that powerfulness that we have within inside ourselves and our own consciousness and the ability that we have to change this world just by being who we are and by being okay with that. That is the gift of what we are given. That is the givingness of love into ourself, the very practice. The idea that God gave itself unto us, expresses as us, so that we could be that beacon of light that God is. We don't need to hold back, never, ever hold back from being that presence, ever, ever, ever. That is the truth of who we are. So let's let that shine. We do not need to be afraid of that. That is our inherent divine nature. And so with that, I give great thanks. I give great thanks for this supportive community that supports each other, that when we do fall down and we do have those little moments of struggles and strife, that we come together and we recognize and see with each other, and they say, no, you got this. I see the light in you. We do that here at Genesis. We do that with each other, and then we do that so that we can spread and evolve ourselves and be who we want to be out into this world. What a beautiful gift. What a beautiful gift. And I give great thanks for that. And so I release it all, knowing that it is all good, that it is all light, that it is all powerful, and know that that perfect law, that universal law that always says yes, as Reverend James loves to say with mathematical precision. Oh, I love that when he says that, because that's the way the law works. It simply just says yes to whatever we put into it. And so I say yes to more love, to more compassion, to more of us just being us, to more of us just spreading our light out into this world, illuminating our presence. And so it is. And so now I'd like to give it over and to spread her light to us, ChristineEss Young.
What is it inside of me? Afraid to let others see how I struggle inside, too scared I can't hide if I let go and stop fighting. But what does it mean to let go? To let yourself fall on the ground. Been standing so long, afraid for my song to sound wrong. I've stayed silent. Will it all fall down? Will my whole world come crashing down? When I refuse to let go, cling to the comfort I know, and avoid what I'm supposed to be. They all tell me you are so strong, with all the courage to be dragged along. I've hung on for so long, it's become my theme song, and now my wounds are more than they need to be. And what is it inside of me? I'm refusing to let myself see. If I lay down my fences, discard all defenses, what will be left? What will be left to protect me? Does it all fall down? Does the whole world come crashing down? Are there any survivors? Do I get a second chance to be what I'm supposed to be? What I'm supposed to be? Or does it all fall down? And when one stands tall as an example on earth to us all this misunderstanding threatens to challenge what we thought what we were supposed to be. So we take him down, we throw stones till he falls on the ground. Persecution and taunting, denial and haunting, scared to see what we could all be. That's when we all fall down. That's when our whole world comes crashing down. Because spreading the fear till it's all we can hear keeps us blind to what we're meant, blind to what we're meant to be. Hey. It's when we all fall down. So let me fall down. Allow myself to just be on the ground, understanding anew what God's love can do we'll just fall down, fall to our knees on the ground, lay down our burden, come to him empty, that we may be made whole, that we may be made whole when we fall down, when we tear down our walls to the ground, find the courage to show the inner faith that we know, and step into what we're meant, step into what we're meant to be. Yeah. It's when we all fall down. When we all fall down, tear down our walls to the ground, find the courage to show that inner faith that we know, and step into what we're meant, step into what we're meant to be.
Thank you, ChristineEss. Thank you for the reminder that if we fall down, we can just get back up. And we have support. We are supported, we are connected, we are loved, and we matter. So this week, we're talking about, actually, not just this week. This year, we're talking about being open at the top. And Ernest Holmes, when he said centers for spiritual living are open at the top, that means that when we discover something better than what we already know, we can change our practices, we can change our beliefs to lean into open at the top, to lean into our own evolution. We don't need to be stuck, we evolve. This month we're talking about the fear and the furious. We started off talking about anger, now we're talking about fear, but fear and anger have in common that they're both high energy, low pleasantness emotions. They're not ones that we sort of enjoy, but they give us energy, and we can use that energy in a positive direction. We're talking about in the presence of fear this week. What if fear isn't the enemy, but a guidepost towards deeper understanding? And so today, how do we use fear to guide us? Pema Chodron is an American Buddhist nun who's written dozens of books. And in her book, Places That Scare You, Guide to Fearlessness in Difficult Times, she writes about meditation. Meditation is what monks know. They'll spend days and days in meditation. She says, in meditation, we discover our inherent restlessness. Sometimes we get up and leave. Sometimes we sit there, but our bodies wiggle and squirm, and our minds go far away. This can be so uncomfortable, we feel it's impossible to stay. Yet this feeling can teach us not just about ourselves, but what it is like to be human. Humans sometimes feel like they've just got to get up and go. All of us derive security and comfort from the imaginary world of memories and fantasies and plans. My memories and fantasies and plans are so wonderful. Why am I here now? Well, because this is where I am. This is where it's all happening. We don't really want to stay with the nakedness of our present experience. It goes against the grain to stay present. These are the times when only gentleness and a sense of humor can give us the strength to settle down. So whenever we wander off, we gently encourage ourselves to stay and settle down. Are we experiencing restlessness? Stay. Discursive mind? Stay. Are fear and loathing out of control? Stay. Aching knees and throbbing back? Stay. What's for lunch? Stay. What am I doing here? Stay. I can't stand this another moment. Stay. That's how to cultivate steadfastness. Pema Chodron says, all these emotions come up and we use them to just stay. Ernest Holmes talks about fear. He says, what is fear? Nothing more or less than the negative use of faith, faith misplaced. And you know, faith builds mountains. Faith builds cities. Faith, you know, the Empire State Building, when they wanted to build it, somebody had a plan and everybody had faith they'd be able to do it, and that's what made them able to construct it. That's how they constructed this Masonic temple back in 1926. They had a plan, they had faith they could do it, they got the money, the men, the women, and they built it. And now we get to enjoy it. But fear is having faith that something awful is going to happen. You pick something you don't want, and you put all your energy into that. And so this is something we want to discourage. Let's go to the next slide. Actually, first let's say that affirmation together. I meet fear with curiosity, compassion, and courage. I meet fear with curiosity, compassion, and courage. And that's going to be our methods. So now we've got, this is our teaching glyph, our CSL teaching glyph. So if we are experiencing fear here, the misuse of fear is going up here, our old idea of fear, repeating and repeating, and just give it more energy, and give it more power, and give it more attention. Instead of finding what we would like to happen, what's a new idea that we would enjoy, what would make our life and the world a better place. And we want to put our faith in something positive, not in something negative. There are churches that think that we need to look forward to the apocalypse, that destroying civilization is what will rebuild. And I suppose they're looking at a world rebuilt and a world reborn, and that's the positive vision. But I prefer a vision where we don't have to go through an apocalypse, where we can get together, and I have faith, actually, that we can make this world work for everyone. So Science of Mind teaches thoughts and beliefs create our reality. By consciously choosing faith, love, and alignment with the infinite, we dissolve the seeming power of fear and affirm our connection to the divine presence within. In this way, fear becomes a pointer, revealing where we placed our faith in restriction instead of possibility. Let's go to the next slide. So this, if we let fear drive the bus, this is sort of, there's the bus that fear wants to drive. The last thing you want to do is let fear drive this bus, or fear is driving the bus. You don't want to be on it. You want to be able to be in a situation where you've got faith in something positive. How many people have seen Christopher Nolan's Odyssey movie? A few. And I'll explain. This is really more about the story of the Odyssey than that movie in particular. Although that movie did inspire me. So the Odyssey is a story about something that happened 3,000 years ago. And it's a story that people keep on telling because it's full of truths and lessons for us. It talks about how to live an exemplary life and how to get over, how to take human beings, imperfect human beings, and use them to manifest goodness in the world somehow. And Odysseus does it. He takes a very long time and does it to be a very circuitous route. So he starts off, he's king of Ithaca, which is a city in Greece. And as king of Ithaca, when his over-king, Agamemnon, decides they need to go to war to take back Helen of Troy, who used to be Helen of Sparta, but was abducted by the Trojan prince to live in Troy. So they have to go to war. This is part of their kleos, this is part of their tradition, is if somebody takes your wife, you go to war. And so they go and they besiege Troy. But Troy is a very powerful city with big walls, and they're outside Troy for 10 years and can't get in the walls. Odysseus comes up with this clever plan, the Trojan horse, which I assume everybody's heard of. That's not a spoiler. Where the Greek soldiers sit inside, but the Greeks somehow convince the Trojans that this is a dedication to the goddess Athena, and so it would be best taken inside their city. So they take it inside their city gates, and when darkness falls, the soldiers go out, open the main gates, and the Greek army comes in and destroys everything. So Odysseus is in an interesting situation. He's the hero, but he really regrets all the awful destruction that took place when the city got opened, but at least he gets to go home. All the soldiers get to go back home. He will take 10 years to go home. On his way home, I'm going to talk about three adventures he had. Adventure one is the sirens. So he gets blown off course, and so instead of going the straight way home, he goes home via the sirens. And the sirens sing songs that if you hear them, you'll steer into the rocks, and nobody who's heard the sirens has ever returned. What Odysseus decides, he wants to hear the sirens. He wants to be that guy. And Greeks are big on this. This is the concept of kleos. And kleos is sort of eternal fame. And Greeks are big on claiming eternal fame for themselves. So he wants to be the guy who heard the sirens. And but he doesn't want to die. Actually, lots of people have heard the sirens. So they've all died. So he has his men tie him to the mast. And he says if he screams for them to let him go, they should just tie the ropes tighter. And then he has them fill their ears with wax so they can't hear the sirens, and then they steer past the sirens. So that's what's going on with him. He can hear the sirens, but somebody else is driving the bus, and they're driving it sensibly so he can go safely. But this is what we can all do with our own fear. When we hear fear, we can listen to it. We can try to love it. We can, what does our fear want from us? But don't let it drive the bus. I know a problem that both my mother and I have had is having panic attacks while driving the car. And this isn't something, you don't want fear to have the wheel. Because I know my fear. When I'm having a panic attack, all it wants to do is take off my seatbelt and jump out of the car. But at 60 miles an hour, this isn't going to work out well for anyone. And so I just stay in command of my body, and I let the fear wash through. I maybe listen to it and see, what is it that you want? Well, I know the answer isn't jumping out of the car. This is the siren call, the deadly siren call. It seems right, but it's very wrong. According to the poem, the Odyssey, the siren said to Odysseus, "Come this way, renowned Odysseus, great glory of the Achaeans. Stop your ships so you may hear our song. Whoever listens will depart delighted and wiser." And he did. He said afterwards that it helped him understand the world better. It gave meaning to his suffering. And of course, because he was an ancient Greek, it made him more of a hero. We're still talking about him 3,000 years later. Why? Well, in this case, it's because he listened to the sirens. But we can all listen to our own sirens. So fear also deepens our capacity for compassion. Circe is, she's half goddess, half god, half sorceress. So she's a demigod, and Odysseus ends up, being lost without a map on Circe's island. But this works out well for him. Well, sort of. Circe he brings all his men onto the island, but bringing his men onto the island, they are transformed by Circe into pigs, because they come and they eat all her food, and they do it in such a very physical and unthoughtful way. She's like, "You are pigs. Let's make you into pigs." But Odysseus comes, and he knows not to do that. He knows actually Circe has a special power. So we've heard of Circe from Jason and the Argonauts, a story that happened a generation before the people in the Odyssey. And Circe was Medea's aunt. Jason went to get the golden fleece, and with the help of Princess Medea, she got the fleece, but in doing so betrayed the family and ended up killing her brother. And she was heartbroken, and so they stopped at the island of Aunt Circe and healed herself. And this is the same problem Odysseus has. He succeeded in his mission of conquering Troy, but he did it in a way where he had to witness suffering, the Greek army expressing 10 years of frustration and excess testosterone to kill every man, woman, and child in that city and to burn the city. And it broke his heart, even though he's the hero of the day. And, so he went to Circe, and I think that he learned compassion. So let's go to the next slide. So we've talked about mindful self-compassion and the 3 steps that we look at for self-compassion. Kindness. So you have to, Odysseus, we want Odysseus and we want ourselves to treat ourselves with compassion and kindness. Like we would treat, imagine that you've done something awful, but instead of beating yourself up for it, you pretend it's your best friend that did that. And you're like, well, it's not that I think it's a good thing. I think that you are a decent human being, and I can treat you kindly. And common humanity. Everybody makes mistakes. Really, there isn't a good way to end a 10-year siege of a city. Either you're defeated or they're defeated. Unless he did it. See, they should have done a peace, but he didn't think of that. And mindfulness. So mindfulness is doing is staying in the present moment. Pema Chodron talked about how boring the present moment can be when all you're doing is meditating all day. But the present moment can be dynamic and alive. It can be full of love. It's full of everything, because everything happens in the present moment. We have all these thoughts about our history and all these wonderful things or awful things that happened in the past. And our future, we either have a brilliant future or a fearful future. But right now, the only place we are is in the here and now. And in the here and now, this is what's happening. So this is self-compassion, mindful self-compassion. They went a little farther with Circe and Odysseus. Let's do the next slide. It's fierce self-compassion. And turns out fierce and tender self-compassion are a pair. Sometimes the best use for self-compassion isn't just being kind to yourself and recognizing your common humanity. Sometimes it requires action. So that's the grizzly mom, and there is the grizzly pup. So sometimes your fierce self-compassion can protect you. It can draw boundaries. It can say no. It can keep you safe. It can provide things. It can provide aid or help or comfort. It can be motivating. You can learn how to change the world and make the world into a place that works for everyone. So our authentic selves, inner healing, tenderness, and outer change, fierceness, are common caring forces that we can bring into the world. And one of the things the Greeks did, one of the reasons the Greek plays and poems we hear are also sad, or they're like, I don't want to be like that was their goal. You were required as a citizen of Athens to attend a 3-day theater festival every year. And the reason they'd show these theater festivals, they'd say, see all these awful things that happen to these people? If you do awful things, bad things will happen in the world. And so they were to teach a lesson. By showing you what not to do, you would learn how to do what's right. So we prefer, with better educational technology, we're like, well, we can also just focus on what's right. But it is, these things are very memorable. I mean, we're still talking about them 3,000 years later. They do a good job of mapping the mind, mapping how we humans operate. Circe guided Odysseus through the underworld, through the unconscious. She actually recommended, sometimes you want to say this. Circe literally said to Odysseus, go to Hades. Because there's messages from the people in Hades that you need to hear. And so he went and got to talk with all his dead friends from the Greek army and got messages from them. So this is the wisdom of Circe that Odysseus got to bring into the world. Ernest Holmes talks about compassion is one of the ways we use that power greater than ourselves that we are manifesting in the world. So I also want to talk about fear as being a way to manifest creative growth and courage. The last island I'm going to talk about today that Odysseus landed on is the island of the Cyclopses. Odysseus and his men landed, and they saw these sheep, and they thought, well, let's follow the sheep, and then we'll find the owner, and we'll ask if the owner will give us a nice meal of sheep, because this is a very prosperous owner. You can see all these sheep. So they followed the sheep around, and they went into the cave, which seemed to be set up as the home of their owner, and they sat and waited for the owner to come home. And when the owner came home, it was Polyphemus, the Cyclops. And Polyphemus was not the he was not very gracious host to them. Polyphemus represents the shadow in us, but he was the rejected, instinctual, bodily, and uncivilized part of our personality. We're all wonderful people, and yet the body we're operating in has a lot of things which civilization has no room for. And yet, there it is. We have appetites, we have urges, and we often wish we didn't. Polyphemus is characterized by enormous physicality, appetite and aggression, isolation from human society, rejection of laws, rejection of hospitality, rejection of social reciprocity. He doesn't want to come to Ithaca and get a banquet. He wants to eat those guys. So this is what happens. Let's go to the next slide. This is a still photo from Christopher Nolan's movie. And what they did was they built a 60-foot tall replica of Polyphemus, the Cyclops. See, there's the single eye. And there is the director, or I don't know which one of these is the director. I think that one. And cameras. So everybody, when they were acting in the movie, they could see what the Cyclops looked like. The Cyclops, so they were waiting there for their hospitality, and the Cyclops comes in, closes the door with a huge rock, which no normal person could ever move, and says, "Who are you, people?" And he starts eating the men. And he's big enough that he could eat them in like a couple of bites. So this is monstrous appetites. And what do? They actually, after having eaten a couple of men, he's full, and then he drinks kegs, barrels and barrels of wine, and then falls asleep. And they think, well, we can kill him. But if they kill him, they won't be able to get out the door because nobody except him can move that rock. So Odysseus comes up creatively and courageously comes up with a plan to sharpen a large log and then poke him in the eye so he couldn't see. And then once he wakes up, he still has to let a sheep out. So he knows he has the Greeks trapped, but he lets the door out and then he feels so that he makes sure only sheep get out. But the Greeks hide under the sheep. So while he's feeling the sheep, the Greeks are all escaping. So this is, fear really focused the mind. I don't think they spent their time, while Polyphemus was snoring, thinking, oh, how nice it'll be when I get back to Ithaca, or boy, I bet it's a nice day for sailing out there, or I really enjoy the coolness of the cave. They were like, how do we not get eaten by this guy? How do we not get stuck in this cave? How is this going to work? And so fear can focus the mind and bring the shadow to light. Let's do the next one. So Jung says, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So this is our own Polyphemus inside of us, that part of us that we really don't want to think about, that really doesn't know how to behave in the kind of society we like to engage in. But by not ignoring it, by paying attention to it, listening to it, and engaging with it, we can live our lives. We can use the power of fear. It turns out that Polyphemus loved the sheep, and our shadow really wants the best for us. It's just, it's our inner child. It's something stuck at a different level of development. When we look at, the idea to wake up, grow up, clean up, show up, cleaning up is one of the things we do with our shadow. We just make sure that it doesn't, when it triggers us, we know how to handle that trigger. So in collective fear can be helpful too. One of the things I've talked about, how much renewable energy, how the world situation for renewable energy is 1,000 times better than it was just a few years ago. So much renewable energy is being built. Why is this? Well, some of it is because of fear. Because climate scientists have shown us that if we don't do something about it, our world is going to be a much less pleasant place to live. And so people have used that fear to focus their energy and make solar voltaic, 1,000 times more effective than it was just a few years ago, and to come up with better ways to generate renewable energy. So we can meet fear with curiosity, compassion, and courage. And let's just move into the moment and touch our hearts, breathe into our hearts. And let's notice the appreciation. Let's conjure some appreciation in our hearts. Appreciation for these age-old stories that keep us engaged by telling us about epic adventures that 3,000 years ago, but are also really telling us about what's going on in our minds right now. And how we deal with fear with curiosity, compassion, and courage. And as we lean into that appreciation, we notice it fills our hearts and then overflows from our hearts and fills our bodies and then radiates out from our bodies and fills the space we're in. And we can feel that love, that ease, as it connects us with everyone everywhere who is hearing my words. And that love is emanated by God, the Godness that is love, the Godness that surrounds, nurtures, embraces, and enfolds us. And I am an individualization of that God. And I see I see a room, I see compassionate, curious, courageous people. I see people who are nurtured, who are beautiful, who are resilient, who are imaginative, and who have faith in themselves, who are not afraid to look within themselves, but can take their fear and setting their fear on their shoulder, listen to the fear, and use that to make the world into a better place. And I'm grateful for these stories. I'm grateful for everybody here. I'm grateful for your attention. And I'm grateful for this space that we're in. The pillars of Boaz and Jachin bringing us love and strength as we enter into this space. And I release this prayer and let it go into the law, which always says yes and manifests with mathematical precision what we need, what we love, what we desire, and what is best for us now and forever. And so it is. So we've come to the part of our service where we get to pray. And if you're in the room with me, you should have a yellow prayer card. And on one side of it, it talks about my prayer demonstration. And if you write down for that, anytime, anything you're grateful for in the world, I think counts as a prayer demonstration. Or anything you've prayed for that's wonderful. We live in a universe that supports us. We have a loving God providing everything we need. And our gratitude for this manifestation of prayer actually supercharges our prayers we write on the other side, which are prayers for ourselves, for others, prayers of gratitude, prayers of need. And these prayers are taken, and our practitioner core takes each prayer and prays powerfully over it, transmuting it into world energy, which manifests a better world for us and manifests everything that we need. And now ChristineEss will sing us another brilliant musical piece.
Opening wide, I let it pour over me. All that is meant to be, I hold it gently. Opening wide, I let it pour over me. All that is meant to be, I hold it gently. Opening wide, I let it pour over me. All that is meant to be, I hold it gently. I see it, I claim it, I know it deep inside, down where I can't hide. can't hide. I hold it gently, opening wide. I let it pour over me, all that is meant to be. I hold it gently.
That was absolutely amazing, amazing. Let's give ChristineEss another big hand. So talented and beautiful. So right now we usually go into our offering, and we will do that in just a moment, but I want to give the stage up just for a brief moment to ChristineEss because she has a little bit of something to tell us about I think it's the Essential Earnest class that we just finished up there. So I'm going to give it over to you.
Hi guys, so I put on my practitioner stole. I'm like switching hats for the second half of the service. One of the things I get to do here as a spiritual practitioner is teach classes. Centers for Spiritual Living actually started out in an academic environment where we were teaching people how to connect with themselves and explore spiritual nature in deep and powerful ways. We have a whole set of classes. You start with one of the foundational classes, which now there's 4 of those, and then you take some other classes in consciousness studies, history of our philosophy, learning about Ernest Holmes, and then you can even go into an advanced consciousness studies course. It's a year long, and that prepares us for another year studying to be a professional practitioner, which I am. And I would love, could we just take a moment and have all of our Genesis practitioners stand in the room and recognize them and see who our practitioners are? These are people that are consciously holding powerful presence for us in our lives and all the time, and also the people teaching our classes. Can we just give them a round of applause real quick? This team does some powerful work for this community, and it's always such an honor and privilege to work with these beautiful souls. So the reason I'm up here today is to just honor and celebrate the opportunity we had this last spring term. We offered an opportunity that was online called Essential Ernest Holmes, where we got to learn a little bit about the history of our founder, but a whole lot about the teaching laid before us. It was a 10-week adventure, and we had 13 people join us on that adventure and complete the course and get a certificate of completion. And a lot of those people are headed into practitioner studies. They're not necessarily members of Genesis, but this is a way that Genesis is serving in our greater Centers for Spiritual Living community. And I just wanted to take a minute and share with you guys that this is something that Genesis is up to that isn't super visible here on the Sunday mornings. So this is such a great time. I know James just finished teaching a class here in person. And for those of you that are like, this is interesting, I might want to know some more, we have 2 amazing opportunities coming up this fall. One of those foundational classes I was talking about, we're offering online. I get the honor of facilitating that. And then we have another one, treatment and meditation, to really go deep. One of the reasons we love James so much as our spiritual director is because he's the man. When it comes to meditation and learning how to connect with that deep spot, he is a great person to work with. So these are both amazing opportunities that we're going to have this fall. So if you kind of like what you're hearing here and you're like, this seems kind of amazing, I wonder what it would look like if I just go a little deeper in. These classes are a great experience to just really be a part of. And that's all. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, ChristineEss. And I want to say, James, you are the man. That's right. And ChristineEss, you are the woman. We are all that. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled programming here. All right, so we're going to move into that moment of our offering time. So this is an invitation to participate in circulation, to connect with abundance and generosity. And so I just invite us all to just take a moment and craft our financial gift. I just wanted us to know that your gift is tax deductible. If you're giving cash, include your name on the envelope to have your name added to the end of your statement. And if you're online, you can visit our website at GenesisCSL.org and use the donate button or the the QR code on the screen, and you can text by sending an amount to the number on the screen. So I want to know that your contribution makes all this possible, and you are loved, you are appreciated, and you matter. And so why don't we just take a moment, and we'll just hold our offering and our blessings to our heart as we say our offering prayer together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am thankful. And so Christy will come around and collect the offering and our prayer cards, and as we pass the basket, you can just go ahead and if you're sitting at the end row, just hand it to the next person and join us in singing our congregational song, I Give Because I Believe.
I give because I believe in love. I give because I believe in love. I give because I believe in love, and love is given to me. I give because I believe in joy. I give because I believe in joy. I give because I believe in joy, and joy is given to me. I give because I believe in peace. I give because I believe in peace. I give because I believe in peace, and peace is given to me. I give because I believe in love. I give because I believe in love. I give because I believe in love, and love is given to me, and love is given to me. Oh yes, love is given to me.
And so it is with deep gratitude we receive these gifts, recognizing the power of stepping into the flow of divine goodness. We allow ourselves to receive as we give, embracing the circulation of bounty for all. And so it is. So thank you all for joining us today. You can join us for food and fellowship after service, and I will be in the alcove if anyone needs prayer or just want to pray something. So I invite you all to just stand together as we sing our closing song, Together We Rise.
I'm holding love in my heart, peace. I'm knowing peace in my mind, a joy. I'm holding joy in my life. We are one, together we rise. Together we rise. Together we together
forth with joy. Have a great week, everyone.